Since the return of Maggie to the Walking Dead universe, I have definitely doubted who she has become as a person, and even more than that, I have doubted who she has become as a leader. A few things have brought me to this final conclusion at this point in the story. She is a terrible leader who thinks she is doing things for the betterment of her people, but in fact she is doing just the opposite. But let me explain why I think this. Before she left with Georgie, she was a decent leader of Hilltop. She took care of her people and did what was needed to make sure they were protected. Even after she knew Gregory was not on her side, she still allowed him to stay part of her community for a whole 18 months after the Savior War. He tried to take back control of Hilltop, and when he lost the majority vote, he tried to have Maggie killed. Maggie hung Gregory as an example of what happens to those that are traitors. In my opinion, this was a good move by Maggie because, let's be honest, Gregory had been pulling these antics for years. And to try to have someone kill Maggie so he could take back control is deserving of death in this type of world. She knew he would try to kill her again and again, and the cycle would just keep repeating itself. Now, when she made connections with Georgie and helped the Hilltop by getting the plans to make Hilltop a better community, that was being a good leader. She made an ally on behalf of her people. She left with Georgie, and to her defense, everything she saw while she was away turned her into what she is today. Out there in the world, she saw community after community fall, which has led her to not trusting anyone. This could ultimately be her downfall in the end. Now that she has returned and taken leadership of Hilltop again, I don't agree with any of her tactics. Now let me just state she does do some things that I do agree with, but for the most part, I wouldn't want her to be the leader of my community. For instance, when they were underground in the subway station and she left Gage to die because it was too risky to save him. Sure, she made the decision of the whole group instead of the life of one, but the Maggie of old would have done everything she could to try to save him. They ended up having to fight all those walkers anyways, and they were never really in that much danger. On this run to the supply depot in Arbor Hills, she put the group in danger, taking them into enemy territory. She had to have known the Reapers were in that area. Now, this is a hard decision to choose what would have been a better choice. On one hand, you have the supply depot that has supplies for a community on the verge of collapse that takes you through enemy territory. Or you keep trying to scavenge what seems like a pretty barren wasteland that they have already scavenged. That decision was really the lesser of two evils. I think trying not to rebuild Hilltop and pulling together resources at Alexandria would have been the best option for everybody. Up to this point in the story, pretty much everyone Maggie showed up with is gone. Now enters the Commonwealth. If you aren't fully caught up, spoiler warning, because this will be up to episode 12 and 13. At this point, a lot of our group has joined in with the Commonwealth. Daryl and Rosita are soldiers. Aaron is a recruiter for new members. Father Gabriel is speaking at the church. Despite the different low-class and high-class ranking system, it does bring a stability that they didn't have before. There is a lot going on behind the scenes, and if you are caught up, you know what I'm talking about. But Maggie, being Maggie, doesn't trust the Commonwealth. Alexandria was ready and willing to be allied with them. Oceanside was ready if Hilltop was, but Maggie wants nothing to do with the Commonwealth. Many of her people are leaving to join with the Commonwealth community, and Hilltop is getting smaller and smaller. Less people means less fighters, and less people pulling resources. Is the Commonwealth hiding some dark secrets? Yes, of course they are, but in reality, it doesn't really have any effect on those that are behind their walls. Or at least it hasn't since the fall of humanity. If her own people are losing enough trust in her leadership abilities to leave Hilltop to join the group she is unwilling to partner with, that should say a lot. We did see that Maggie might have been leaning towards allying with the Commonwealth, but when she saw the ability of the Commonwealth soldiers to be able to take down a dozen walkers instantly, she knew that they could do that to the people of Hilltop at any point in time. If it was me, instead of just turning down being allies, I would have asked to be part of them behind the walls, because what is it to stop them from just coming to their front door and doing that at any point in time? If you're fully caught up in the show, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I think for the betterment and survival of the group, and for Herschel, she should take what members are left of Hilltop and try to join the Commonwealth. Now, we all know this won't happen because when Maggie gets set on something, she usually doesn't change her mind. So at this point, Maggie is a terrible leader for Hilltop, and I believe really any community at this point, but maybe she will turn it all around in the rest of this season.